gentlemen. And CC, I did survive the flight. I survived that tiny little plane from St. Martin to St. Bart's, which I know sounds like an insufferable thing to say out loud.
Such a hard life for you, Smalls. Hard knock life for Michelle Smallman. Small plane on the way to St. Bart's.
Okay, but I think about...
Play the world's smallest violin for you.
I know. Do not feel sad for me. I survived. I'm a survivor here. But I did think about you on that
the
plane.
Destiny's Child in the background.
That's right. T.I., come on in for the remix. But I thought about you on that plane, CC, because I could barely fit in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how someone like you,
I don't
who's
know
a
how
taller
I made
person...
it to, and I have been to St. Bart's before. I don't know how I made it on that plane, how we got there.
Yes.
But it was a great time once I was there.
But you went on that little plane with no air conditioning and no weight distribution.
Yeah, it's a little sketch. It's a puddle jumper for sure. It's a puddle jumper. When you can reach and touch both sides of the plane, it's not a settling feeling.
No, it is definitely
Think about
not.
it. If you can reach your arms out and touch both sides of the plane,
Yes, I
that's
didn't think
a problem.
about that.
That's a problem.
I didn't think about that, and you're right.
Not a good thing.
It's not a good thing, but we survived. We are here.
We survived.
I haven't seen you in a while. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. I feel away because you were with Harry and Freddie yesterday. We got show beef. I don't know if they explained it to you.
They did not.
We got some show beef.
Hold on. I didn't know this.
This is a long-standing show beef, and I just can't believe that you were so cavalier in terms of driving the show yesterday and being with the enemy. It made me feel some type of way.
But as my teammate, you have to tell me who our mutual enemies are.
Well, yeah, but I would expect that the guys in Vegas East would let you be informed that we got an issue with Freddie and Harry.
They didn't tell me, guys.
Not just with sports takes, but just in general. We got an issue with them.
Okay, so what are the issues?
Well, they were openly campaigning on the air to have you part of that show and not this show anymore.
Well, that I don't think is what Cece's talking about.
It's not, but you seem pretty quick to want to jump on board with that.
No, I just said I love them both.
You wanted to jump over to that show.
Wow, look at Pat stirring it up at 6:02 a.m.
Well, Freddie calls him King Mixer.
He is the king.
Yeah, but I mean, we got.
Beef?
I mean, there's several things. I think it's too lengthy to outline right now. Maybe I have to come up with a candy power ranking.
Yes,
Top 5
please.
reasons why we got show beef with Freddie and Harry.
I want that.
But we do have beef. It's a real thing.
Oh, okay.
And the fact that you were just so comfortable, so cavalier, yucking it up with them yesterday. I don't know, made me feel away. Made me feel away. I wasn't sure what kind of attitude I would come to the studio this morning with towards you.
Well, why don't we squash our beef? Because I didn't know that I needed to support you in your beef.
Okay, but I just need you to ride for unsportsmanlike. And if
you.
we got an issue with Freddie and Harry, if one person on this show has an issue with Freddie and Harry, we all got an issue with Freddie and Harry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Your issues are my issues.
And it's not just the
vice
bad
versa.
sports takes.
Okay, so you're gonna ride with me on any beefs I have then?
Yes.
Well, you know who I can't stand is the Kroenke family.
Oh.
So we got beef with them.
Yeah.
And that includes the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
And they're in the news. They are in the news. And maybe it will work
Josh
to my
Kroenke
advantage.
like them headlines, don't he? Josh Kroenke like them headlines.
I don't know why they would want
He
these
loves the
headlines.
sound of his own voice.
I don't know why he would want these headlines, but the Denver Nuggets are in the news again because their superstar Nikola Jokic, he will not seek a contract extension this summer, delaying talks until next summer, a league source confirmed to us here at ESPN yesterday. Jokic has 3 years remaining on a 5-year, $276 million contract extension that he signed back in the summer of 2022. He's, of course, a 3-time MVP. He has a player option in the final year of the deal worth $62.8 million in 2027-2028, but he is eligible to sign a 3-year, $200 million extension up until October 20th. That's according to our Bobby Marks. Now, CC, people are maybe trying to read into this. Is he wanting to explore his options? Is he wanting to see what Denver does to continue to build around him as far as a contender is concerned? Is this about the financials? Well, by waiting until the 2026 offseason to work on an extension, Jokic is able to add a 4th year at an additional $77 million. So there is financial benefits for him to wait in order to negotiate this deal. But when you first saw this, that he's not going to seek a contract extension this summer and that it's still going to be a little bit of gray area between he and the Denver Nuggets, what was your reaction?
My reaction was it's something to watch because on its face, it's about the financials. You're talking about him having 2 years with $104 million left on that deal. He's eligible this offseason to sign a 3-year, $212 million extension, but if he waits a year, it'll be a 4-year, $282 million extension next summer. So it comes down to the reality that it's more money for Jokic if he waits. But there's also risk involved for the Denver Nuggets if he does wait, in terms of seeing how close the Denver Nuggets are to competing for a title in the Western Conference. When you look at everything that's happened around the West this offseason, with Kevin Durant going to Houston and the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the championship, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Golden State Warriors, the Dallas Mavericks, San Antonio Spurs, all of these teams are going to be vying for Western Conference supremacy. And so when Nikola Jokic puts it on the record at the end of last season that he's frustrated because of the lack of depth on his team, not allowing them to compete at the highest level, the starters not having enough gas at the end of the season when the games matter the most, the organization was put on notice. That was the first shot. This is the second one. And it's got to be an unsettling feeling if you're Josh Kroenke, if you're a part of the KSC group, and you're going into next summer with Nikola Jokic not having signed an extension. Because now you're a year away from true free agency. Now, we know he's not going to get to free agency. Whether he ends up staying in Denver or he goes somewhere else, it'll ultimately be a sign and trade because he'll force his way out. But as you get closer to that true free agency date, the pressure ratchets up on the Denver Nuggets in order to appease Jokic and make him feel like they are going to do right by him while he's in the heart of his prime. You are talking about a player that's 30 years old and is a 3-time MVP. He is at the height of his powers.
Yep.
He is the best player in the world, period. There is no shortage of teams that will want him. Now, listen, if the Denver Nuggets put him on the trading block, you're talking about 29 other teams calling him, seeing what's up.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, like that's the reality of the situation that they're in, which makes it even more maddening why Josh Kroenke, a couple of weeks ago, would mention the God forbid of having to trade number 15.
Yeah.
Why would you needle Nikola Jokic when he already doesn't see eye to eye with the organization in terms of roster composition? You fired the general manager, you fired the head coach that he won a ring with. I feel like it's a huge amount of pressure on the Denver Nuggets going into this season to make this roster work. Now, they didn't sit on their hands this offseason. They went out and they traded for Cam Johnson.
Yep.
They got Jonas Valanciunas, a backup center that can spell Jokic 10 to 15 minutes a game. You brought back Bruce Brown. You got THJ. You already have Christian Braun. You know, you got Zeke Naji. So you have more depth on your bench now than you did at the end of last year, but they've got to make it work. It's not just about being able to put names on the roster. It's about this group coming together and playing well as a team. So there's a huge amount of pressure on Josh Kroenke. There's a huge amount of pressure on their front office. There's a huge amount of pressure on first-year head coach David Adelman. So they've got to find a way to make this work. And it's got to work this season. Because if it doesn't, I think there's a very real scenario where we're talking about Nikola Jokic forcing his way out. Now, again, on its face, I think the decision by Jokic's camp was all about trying to maximize the dollar figure, make as much money as you can.
Yeah, that additional $77 million in the fourth year.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, it's the difference between a 3-year,